Hello everyone. So I am kind of excited about today's video. This is by far my all-time favorite Zentangle that I have done to date, and it is the Breaking Bad character Walter White as Heisenberg and his famous saying of "I am the one who knocks." And if you haven't seen Breaking Bad yet, you really need to check it out. It is the most amazing series that I have ever watched on TV. Actually, I watched it on Netflix, and I consider myself lucky because I didn't start watching it until the entire series was completed. I can't imagine watching this and waiting for the next season. It would drive me insane. Daisy just said hello. But anyways, I started watching it maybe 2 weeks ago. My best friend kept telling me that it was a great show, and I don't know, it just didn't sound like something I wanted to watch. For those of you who have not seen Breaking Bad, it's about a high school chemistry teacher who finds out he has lung cancer and decides to start cooking meth and partnering up with one of his old students to sell the meth. And it just didn't sound like something I would be terribly interested in, but on her recommendation one day, I just decided to try it out, and I instantly became obsessed with it. I watched the whole series in about 3 or 4 days. I was watching every episode like one right after another, and I was amazed when I would look at the clock and it would be like 3 o'clock in the morning and I had done nothing other than watch Breaking Bad all day. But it was totally worth it, and I love the series. It's amazing. So I decided to try my hand at zentangling his face and the famous saying of "I am the one who knocks." That one, that passage is one of my favorites on in the series. I think it's probably the most famous one, other than Jesse Pinkman's saying, which I don't think I can say on my channel. But for those of you who watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. You know what Jesse says all the time. And so this took about 2.5 hours to do. And yes, for those of you who are going to ask, because I know I will be asked this, I did sketch out his face and the lettering before I started this, because I knew that this was not going to be something that I could freehand. So I sketched it out a little bit, made sure that the basic shapes were there before I started to put everything on camera. And I did this on a 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock using my Copic multi-liner pens, and I did use the smallest ones. I used the 0.1, the 0.05, and the 0.03. And I think overall it came out really, really cool. Like I said, it's my favorite one that I've done so far. It's the first time that I've ever tried doing a face of somebody where the end result had to actually look like somebody you would recognize. And like all of my other Zentangles of like the girls or whatever, it didn't really matter that if it looked like anyone or not, because it wasn't based off of anyone. But this one is based off of Walter White or Bryan Cranston. And so that was a bit challenging, but I was surprised with the end result, that it came out much better than I was expecting. So I posted on Facebook that I was very excited about today's video. It's definitely my favorite. But yeah, and Allison liked it too. She said it came out really well. And so that's always a plus. And no, she hasn't seen the whole series. She's seen bits and pieces off of it because I've watched I've watched it on my computer, but it's not exactly 11-year-old appropriate, so she hasn't seen it yet, but she really wants to. So I don't know how I feel about her watching it right now, but maybe someday she'll think of it again and will want to watch it, because I am definitely going to buy the series on DVD when it is out. I think it's coming out soon, actually, if it's not out already. But yeah. So I have all of the seasons on Netflix, obviously, but I'm sure it'll go away at some point. And then I had to purchase the last half of season 5 on Netflix because that wasn't on, or on iTunes because it wasn't available on Netflix. So, but I don't know. It came out pretty good, I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below when this is completed. And so I'm just trying a few different tangles that I haven't done on screen before. This one is a really easy one, and I really like staggering this one, and you'll see what I mean by that in a second, because I don't fill up all of the diamonds with that pattern. I kind of stagger them a little bit, and I think it just looks a little bit more interesting. And with the shading that I add later on, I added some dimension and made it look kind of cool. And yeah, so this Zentangle pattern is actually one that I am liking quite a bit right now, just because it's easy and it's a good filler pattern. You know, when you have little areas and you're not sure what to do with it, this is a good pattern for it. I'm just erasing the guidelines that I used. And this one is called Huggins, and this one, you know by now that this one is one of my favorite ones as well. And with the shading and everything, I just think it's interesting looking. And most of these are going to have tutorials coming up very soon. Speaking of tutorials, I have recorded tutorials all the way through March, so they are ready to go. And I know that when you go to that playlist on my YouTube channel for my tutorials, that there are some, it says that it's privated, and it is privated, but they're scheduled to be released, so it's not a mistake, there's not a problem, it just hasn't been released yet. And when they become released, they won't be privated on the playlist anymore. So this one is my last Zentangle for the Walter White picture, and then I'm just going to go back and do some shading in some random places and oh, I forgot about those little areas, but I'm just going to go in now and do some shading and give it a little bit of dimension and make it look a little bit more like Walter White or Heisenberg. And like I said, it took about 2.5 hours to do, and I did it in 2 sittings. I just wanted, I needed a little bit of a break halfway through because it wasn't looking exactly how I wanted it, but it was because of the shading. There was no shading, so it looked kind of weird. But here is the completed picture, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and I will see you again soon.